Our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our words, and our words create our actions, and our actions create our habits, and our habits create our character, and our character determines our destiny.
Welcome, everybody, to the Warrior Podcast. This is Frank Lardino. I have a special guest today. She is a former attorney turned life coach, if you can believe that, owner of Sara Goggin Sara Goggin LLC. I'm going to let her tell you what that means. And here she is, my dear friend, Sara Goggin. Welcome, my dear friend. So before we start, what is Sara Goggin LLC all about? Lay it on me.
First of all, thank you. And I am so grateful and honored to be here, Frank.
Oh, me too.
Seriously. I might just call you Pump, but we'll get into that later.
Yes, I love it.
Sara Goggin LLC is coaching people to regain the power to believe.
Awesome. And you mean belief in oneself, yes?
Belief in oneself.
And we both have been fighting that little demon that says you're not good enough. We all have. And we're going to get into that. But I want to talk about where we first met. You were hired by my business partner, RJ, to work on the trading floor. And I believe you were what we termed a trade checker, yes?
Yes, trade checker.
And we know that trade checking is you check trades that were done and executed, but you're also the gopher. You're the person who smuggles the food onto the trading floor,
who
right?
Runs the pools, who does all of the fun stuff.
I'm going to do a video someday about trading floor stories, and we can all have a roundtable discussion.
That will be a podcast.
It'll be hilarious. So, all right. So let's get into it here. We met on the trading floor. I didn't know you that well. I didn't really talk to you too much. It's not that I wasn't paying attention to you, but I had my own things going on, and our business was like two teams. So it was RJ and the boys, and it was me and my boys. We were the same team, but we were separate in the pit, and we were kind of had a competition against each other. And you were kind of part of, the dark side of the team, and I had my own guys, And you remember Kevin, who was my guy, who was doing what you're doing, Kevin.
Yes.
One of my best friends, and he's a buried body guy. So we didn't really talk too much. And then we became friends on Facebook. And I see like this person, like, what the hell happened to this lady? It's like it was like you blossomed into this machine. And then I started watching what you were doing. I was like, holy crap, I have to talk to you. And we had a nice long conversation. And I want you to tell your story, but I want you to tell me, like, swimming has been a very big part of your life. And how did that all come about?
Swimming has saved my life. And I started swimming actually because I got grounded. So I had a real dysfunctional childhood, and I'm the oldest. And when I get pushed.
So tell me about the grounding. How did that work now?
I got in trouble, and I got caught, and I was grounded for the whole first semester of high school. And my dad looked at me and he said, Sara, you can swim or you can play field hockey. And I said, well, Dad, I want to be a cheerleader. He said, you can swim or you can play field hockey. What about drill team? He said, you can swim or you can play field hockey. And so I swam.
So how far did you go in swimming?
I swam because there was no cuts. And I had actually swam one season when I was in sixth grade, like a travel or like a seasonal swim team. So I had always taken lessons, but I walked into OPRF. That's where I went to high school, Oak Park River Forest, not knowing how to do a flip turn. I was on JV, and I had talent, and I worked hard, and they needed a backstroker, and that was my stroke. And I got moved up to varsity, and I left 4 years later, All-American, recruited all over.
Holy crap.
Yep.
And then tell me about like a little bit of the college career in swimming.
Swimming was the first time that movement came into my life, and movement is essential for wellness. So like I said, I had a lot going on at home. And when I swam, I felt strong and I felt clear and I felt powerful. And it was the first time I got out of my head and connected within and was able to make a goal, create a plan, and execute and achieve through hard work. I didn't fall out of bed and I was Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky. I worked hard and I had a fantastic coach. And that's how I got to where I was 4 years later. So recruited all over, ended up going to Arizona State. I wanted the best. I always want the best. And that was the best swimming conference, the toughest conference. So the trajectory of my life, first of all, I was getting out of Dodge, out of Oak Park River Forest, out of my home, which was a life-saving. And I was going to swim, go to NCAAs, make Olympic trials, go to the Olympics, go to law school, get my JD, become an attorney, have a family. That was the trajectory of my life, straight uphill.
And just for clarity, when you made it sound like you were happy to get out of the house, you had one of them childhoods like I did where you couldn't wait to get out of the house.
I couldn't wait to get out of the house.
My story is a little different because I left after I finished 7th grade. I moved out to live with my grandma and my Aunt Rose. So, and that's another story, but I'm just saying, I understand you were, it was good to get away.
It was good to get away.
All right. So now we're getting to the meat of the story. So now you got this trajectory all planned. You're killing it, right?
Yep.
And by the way, I just want to sidetrack and say, I've done many sports in my life. I've never been a swimmer, although I can swim. Those swim workouts are insane.
Yes,
you guys
they
just
are.
Swim and swim and swim and swim and swim. It never stops. So it's a crazy sport. There's nothing like that.
There's no easy button.
So, all right. So now you're on this trajectory, and then take me through where the trajectory stopped.
Where the rug got pulled out from underneath me. It was junior year, and I actually had missed my taper. So
what does that mean?
So swimming is you work hard all season, like extremely hard. So your muscles get torn and you keep swimming and you're building muscle mass and you learn how to swim tired. You learn how to swim exhausted and you learn how to swim fast. And then the whole trick to taper or to swimming is before your last meet, you take time. In high school, we swam for 3 months. 2 weeks, we would start. So say we were going 10,000 yards a day. ASU was like 15, 20,000 yards a day. 10,000 yards a day, 2 weeks out. Then I go 9, then 8, then 7. Quit lifting, no running, nothing extra. And so you're tapering your muscles. You're allowing your muscles to repair, restore. And we didn't shave. So then the day before you race, you shave down and you get in and you feel literally like a fish. And you're rested. And so you have these huge time drops. I always dropped time. I always made my goal times.
So you said you missed your taper then.
So think about this. In high school, it's a 3-month season and we have a 2-week taper. Arizona State was a 6-month season. And our coach gave us 5 days.
Wow.
5 days. So my taper should have been 3 weeks and then I would have hit it. So I didn't swim as fast as I wanted to. Junior year, didn't make NCs. I ended up going to San Felipe, Mexico with sorority and fraternity friends. And we went to Mexico like any other normal high or college age, collegiate. And I got up that morning to go running with my girlfriend, my roommate. We were out the night before, but it wasn't we got up to go on a run. And the guys we were staying with, I wasn't drinking is my whole point. The guys that we were staying with pulled up and they're like, Goggin, get in the car. We're going water skiing. Come on. We were in Lake Havasu. I was not in San Felipe. I was in Lake Havasu. We got in the boat. I was the first one to ski. And this is the first time that I can look back and recognize that I felt a tug within. Like I felt something wasn't right. And I didn't listen to it because I was stubborn. I grew up skiing in Lake Geneva, and it was a regular slalom ski where the one foot's in and then you slide your back one. And I had skied for years. This ski was a double boot Velcro binding ski. It was by H2O. It was the first double boot Velcro binded ski. It was before wakeboards. So they had to strap my feet into the ski on the boat, and then I got in. And I had trouble getting up. Another tug from within. And I just didn't listen. And I got up and I'm messing around, cutting in and back and forth with the wake. And then I went to jump the wake, and the tip of the ski went forward. I flew. So instead of jumping, the tip went down. The ski was too long for me. It went forward. I flew, and my foot didn't come out. My front foot didn't come out of the boot. So here's my knee, and it went. I hyperextended and dislocated it. I ripped my ACL, PCL, LCL, MCL. I took a divot out of my femur, your thigh bone. I cracked my tibia, your shin bone. I cracked my patella, your kneecap, and I ripped all the meniscus.
My God.
So I did everything possible you could do. And usually the diagnosis is amputation. But because of movement, because of swimming, my knee was so strong, the muscles held the artery in place, and they air vac'd me from Havasu to Phoenix, where I had doctors waiting, again, thank God for swimming, to sew my knee back together.
Wow. So, obviously you went through a lot of pain, but right when it happened, did you have one of those things where you go into shock and you didn't feel anything, right?
Well, I was in the water. And I just kept thinking, I broke my knee, I broke my knee, I broke my knee, I broke my knee, I broke my fucking knee, I broke my knee, my knee's fucking broken. The guys were coming around, they're like, come on, Goggin, get back up. And I was like, I broke my knee. I was totally in shock. I broke my knee. And they're like, get up, get up. And Mike Camacho, a dear friend of mine, the driver of the boat, was like, wait a minute, what's the matter? Are you okay? And I'm like, I broke my fucking knee. And so I'm in the water's holding everything in place. And then picture this. I'm at the back of the boat. The motor's off. I'm at the back of the boat. Guys lean down and lift me from the life jacket, lift me up from the shoulders. And the water pulls my knee down. And I scream. I have never been in that much pain. There was 2 women on the boat. One of them saw my knee, leaned over, and threw up off the boat.
Wow.
That's how grossed out she was.
Wow. So then long recovery?
A long recovery, yes. I had, but not as long as they said. They told me I'd never swim again. And I said, watch me.
So they said that probably early on, right?
Yeah. They said right after the operation, they said, you'll probably never swim again.
I hate when they do that. I hate when doctors do that. They should be a little careful the way they phrase things, right? It's likely you may never swim again, but let's not be a doomsayer. But the way they say it, sometimes they're just condemning, and
it's absolute, right? Like there's no wiggle room.
Yep. And how many times have people pulled out of stuff that you're terminal, you're going to die, and then somebody changes their whole diet, and you mean nutrition can actually heal you? Yeah, what a surprise, right? So, anyway, so take me through the story now, because the darkness is coming. Yes,
almost, but not quite. They told me that I'd never swim again, and I said, "Watch me." And I stayed and rehabbed. I rehabbed, and I worked so hard. I can remember in the training room at Arizona State, right in the stadium, Perry was the head trainer, such a kind man and so knowledgeable. And I was sitting down, I was going to do a leg extension, lift your shin from your quad, the top of your upper thigh. And I couldn't lift my leg.
Just with your own body weight, no weight machine or anything, right?
No weight machine.
Yeah.
I couldn't make a quadricep muscle. And Perry was watching me. My eyes filled up with tears, and I felt anything but strong. And I turned and I looked at him and I said, Perry, what am I going to do? And he wrote down a number and he handed it to me and he said, I want you to call Denzel. He was a football player. He was the only other athlete that damaged his PCL. He didn't damage all four, but everyone else had just damaged their ACLs. So he gave me Denzel's number. I went home. I called him as I was going into my apartment. I started crying immediately. And I said, Denzel, you don't even know me. My name's Sara. He goes, you that little swimmer girl, you going done up your knee. And I was like, yeah, they told me I'd never swim again. And he said, I want you to sit down and listen to me. The doctors always give you the worst case scenario. That's what they have to do. That's their job. So you don't listen to the doctors. You listen to your coach and you do everything he says and more. And you listen to Perry and you do everything he says and more. And you listen to yourself and you work fucking harder than you've ever worked in your life if you want this. And that was the first time that I was told and I started to connect within and get my drive from within, or at least feel it that was tangible, that it was up to me to make it happen. And so I did. And I stayed at Arizona State for the summer. I came home just for a little bit. I worked my ass off and I came back and competed my senior year.
That's crazy.
I was nominated. I was nominated captain and we led our team to the highest place they had in about 10 years at Pac-10s. And I swam faster in some events, but not where I knew I could. And I didn't make Olympic trials.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of the darkness for me.
Not making the Olympic trials.
That was my goal. That was my trajectory. That was what I wanted to do. And I didn't swim as fast as I knew I could. You know within what you're capable of. And I just fucking knew it. And I didn't, so I felt like I failed. I felt like I failed, and I carried that with me for years because our thoughts create our feelings. And our feelings create our words, and our words create our actions, and our actions create our habits, and our habits create our character, and our character determines our destiny. And that thought that I failed was louder than any other thought. Do you know how many women earn athletic scholarships to Division I schools?
I do not, but it can't be many, so.
2%. 2%, and I'm not... 2% of women earn athletic scholarships to Division I schools.
Wow.
I was one of those 2%. I was embarrassed to say I swam at Arizona State. That's how messed up my brain was because I thought I failed. Now I have it tattooed. 2%.
2%. That's awesome. Wow. That you talk about being hard on yourself, my friend. And I'm a big believer in accountability. You know, I believe every decision we've ever made has led us to be right here, right now, in this point in time. We have steered our ship here. So I even argue if a piano falls on my head, I have to take some accountability there. Where were my eyes looking?
Right.
Was I looking at the ground? Was I not paying attention? Did I have not situational awareness at the time? So the hard thing about the accountability principle is we've always been hard on ourselves because that's how we achieve, right? Mm-hmm. You're reaching a goal and you're like, all right, I'm going to get that one. So now you leapfrog into the next one, right?
Right.
So, but the trick is not going over the line and being hard on yourself where you literally beat yourself down. Is that possibly what happened to you? Did you take it too far?
Totally. I completely did. I didn't fail. It was an accident. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't messed up. It was an accident. And that's it. And not only that, but I fucking came back.
How about that?
I mean, I came back and I competed at the Pac-10 level in a Division I school, and I was captain. Like, that's my whole point, is your mind, your thoughts can take you down, and it doesn't matter what anybody else says. Everything stems from your mindset. Mm-hmm. And thinking that I failed, and at the time my parents were going through a completely horrific divorce. And so I had no guidance. I had no one to talk to. I had no adult that was there for me to, and again, accountability. I could have looked elsewhere. I could have talked to somebody, but I didn't know what to do. And the pain from my childhood, that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't good enough, that I, coupled with the fact that I thought I failed, was so painful. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to stop the pain.
And I just want to pause you there. I was team captain a couple times, and I was not the best athlete. And it's because you display grit and leadership, and you had that. And let's look at this badass. I'm getting teary-eyed here. She came back from, like, you could have been not even walked. I can't imagine how hard you worked to do that. So,
and I didn't give myself any credit. I didn't have any sort of self-love or peace. You know, I mean, when I look back at it now, what your thoughts can do to you, Art, if you let them, mm-hmm. which I did.
Yep, I've been there too, and so.
And I wasn't the fastest one on the team. You know, you're right. I wasn't the fastest. I had grit.
Yep, you would have been. You would have been. You would have been, but that's a great honor to be recognized by your peers, mm-hmm. right? So I have to breathe again because I've been teary-eyed. So now walk me through the hard parts now.
So we got to keep our scholarship for our 5th year. I stayed at Arizona State, and now we talked about the trajectory of my life. I had no guidance for home. I didn't even really have a place to come home to. My parents were between two places. And I started hanging out with all the sorority and the fraternities. I stopped hanging out with the athletes. And I found a new role because I could drink. I could drink and I could hang with the best of them. And that's made the pain go away. And so I started drinking and using cocaine because I thought that cocaine was awesome because then I didn't get as drunk, you know? And I mean, like the things that you think. So, and I loved it. I loved it.
Can I ask you what happened to your grades and stuff? Did they take a plummet there?
I didn't have that many classes. I had I graduated well. I always was in, honor roll or dean's list, like 3.5 or above. So, with the lighter load, I was able to graduate. Yeah, I functioned. I was able to carry it off with good grades. And then I moved to California. I started with a sorority sister. I coached 2 teams and started in a swim clinic at Manhattan Beach Country Club. And I was lost. I was totally lost. I wasn't connected. I didn't feel stable. I was drinking, I was using, and I'm trying to do both roles. And, and I'll tell you something. You've had a gut feeling. You know that. And that's what I'm talking about, that message that I had one. So I felt one when I was on the boat. And then I can remember that 5th year, and I'm hanging out with people that I don't normally hang out with. And I heard it. We were at a party with the Sigma News. They were the best house on campus. And I'm talking to a bunch of Sigma News, and this guy, I even remember his name, Jimmy. And I heard this whisper say, Sarah, what are you doing? This isn't you. These aren't your people. Clear as day, I still remember that today. And I don't remember a whole lot from that year. And I just pushed it down.
Who was this guy?
He was just the guy that partied all the time.
And he said that to you?
He didn't say that to me. I heard it in the midst of our conversation. I heard that whisper from within. It was like it was in the same room. Nobody else heard it from me, but I pushed it down.
Mm-hmm. That's what I call an oh fuck moment. You're like, oh fuck, what am I doing here?
Yep.
You know, it's like when you wake up next to somebody, you're like, uh-oh, what happened? Right? He's like, shit.
We were standing in the living room drinking. It was early on in the night. But that
we could always edit that part out. So.
Yeah. But that he was just a kid, you know, that had a lot of money, did a lot of drugs, and dressed really well. And that whole thing, it was like, what are you doing? These aren't your people. So that whisper within is really, that's part of my brand. That's part of the power to believe.
All right. So take me through what happens now.
So now I'm in, and I knew I always wanted to go to law school. I found out later why. You know, my dad was an attorney. I wanted to go to law school, emulate my dad, be like him. So I did. So I was in California, and I was going to apply for schools in California and in Chicago. And right at that time, my parents' divorce was finalized. Took 6 years, and my dad bought a house, and I had enough in California, and I came home and visited my brother who worked down at the Merc, and we were at Rivers outside, and I got a job. Go figure. You know, somebody from Rosenthal, I think. So I knew I had a job. Then the divorce was finalized. So then I came home and I worked at the Merc, which is a great place to work if you have a drinking and drug problem. Let me tell you. And I went to John Marshall. So I went to law school at night and worked during the day.
And this overlaps when I knew you.
This is when yes. And this is when I met you. So I can't remember how long I was at Rosenthal because I quickly started working for RJ.
Mm-hmm. Let me show this picture that we looked at before. See if we can get it on the camera here. So
that's me.
This is at my house. I built this house back then that year. We had a Christmas party in my unfinished basement. So I invited all the Merc people over, everybody on my team. Sara brought her friend. You know, it's so funny because we're both about energy. We understand the concept of energy. Our mind is the government for our energy, and like energies attract. Okay. Yep. And I was in my prime. My energy was pumping hard. You flew right underneath the radar, which tells me at that time, like your energy was also very unlike mine, meaning you were low.
Oh,
you know
God.
What I'm saying? Because I would have picked up on you. I would have felt your energy, and I would have been attracted to you to get to know you and stuff like that. You totally flew under the radar. That's why I was in such shock. I'm like, what? She was a top collegiate swimmer? Like when I found out, like, what the hell was I thinking? But you were not yourself.
No.
And I did notice you, you know, and that's the energy thing. So it's pretty interesting.
Which is funny because I registered you and I knew it. And I've told you this. I would remember, running into work just by whenever I had to be there, just by the bell. And every single morning you came in and you had just worked out and you were freshly showered. And I can remember your biceps. I remember like coming up to get your cards, and you were always standing in integrity, and you were always kind. But I just it was like this ache because I knew that's what my what I was meant to do. The athlete in me. Like, I don't even know what you did, but I knew every single morning, like clockwork, you'd come in, just worked out, freshly showered, smelled awesome, and let's execute.
Well, I appreciate the kudos there. That means a lot to me. And you made some comments on my Facebook posts through the years that was like, whoa, that you were noticing that stuff. I don't want to talk about me, but I worked out 360 days a year back then. The only days I missed were because we were traveling somewhere and, we just couldn't put it together. And my workout every morning at the World Gym across the street was my warm up. And I didn't swim 10 or 20,000 yards, God knows, but it'd be a 4 to 6 mile run warm up. And this wasn't the jog. This is 6.5 minute mile. And then I would work out. So I'm doing 4 to 6 miles and then doing either weights or martial arts. And these were pretty brutal martial arts. We did a lot of bare knuckle fighting. And shower up, grab that venti coffee, which I would down by the time I got to the floor. Those 2 escalators or 4 escalators up. I mean, I was wired. There was nobody who had an edge on me. And when you talk about the place of ill repute, the trading floor, everybody was smoking and drinking, and the guys to my left and right, I mean, they would come in the morning smelling like booze. And then they would tell stories like, I don't remember where I was last night. And I thought to myself, how the fuck do you live your life this way where you don't remember what you did last night? Like you were just blacked out. I never want to lose control of myself like that. I don't get drunk. I've never done a drug. And that's another story. But like you said, I mean, I was wired every day. I was good to go. And I didn't do as well as I wanted to do down there because that place there was a lot of shenanigans going down, and I wouldn't play the game that way. They were going on even in my own group with the perking system with the customers and all that shit. I just told my guys, quote everybody, go get everybody out there through open competition. We're not buying anybody's business. I'm not taking people out to dinner and schmoozing them to get their business. We're going to quote them when they need a quote. If their guy isn't on them and we get the business, then I'm going to go up and thank you. We'd like to be a backup if you can't get your other guy and people's like, well, that's my business. Hey, man, then do your job, right?
Right.
So, and that's, we owed nobody anything when we walked off that floor. So what a great experience. So, all right. So you flew under the radar. I didn't know you. You came on the trading floor, going to law school at night, and then what happened?
So I graduated from law school, and I moved from the Euro dollars up to the S&Ps, and I had a good run, working and it was nice. It was easy money
On the trading floor?
on the trading floor.
What did you do? What?
Trade checking. So I mean, it's like I had no desire to trade or anything or get into that industry. That's not mine. I mean, I believe we can learn anything, but that didn't interest me. So graduated from law school, and I had been basically I had 10 years of drinking and using, until the day I woke up. I woke up one day and I was laying diagonal on our king size bed, and the blinds were like these, they're slatted. So I wasn't even laying the right way, and the blinds weren't all the way closed, and I hadn't even opened my eyes, and I could feel the sunlight as it was slatted on my face, and I was crying. The tears were coming out the side of my face because I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to actively kill myself, but I didn't want to get up. I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired and of being a waste. Just like you said, a waste, not remembering things. There was times that I drove to work that I couldn't remember where I parked my car. Like walking around how ridiculous is that? Walking around the parking garage and I can't locate my car because I can't remember where I parked it.
Wow. Did you come to the floor sometimes?
Fucked up?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I was drinking during work. And then I go to law school. I was a mess. I do not do anything small. Ever. Ever. I do it big. And I did. And I was laying in bed and I was crying. And that's when faith came in because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I said, and I don't care what you believe in or what your religion is. It's, for me, it's spirituality. And I was raised Catholic. So I choose to call my higher power God. And I asked for help. And I said, please, please show me the path. Show me the path and I'll follow. That was 19 and a half years ago.
Wow. So was it a gradual flow out of it, or was it a kind of a cold turkey out of it?
My family had had an intervention the year before. So I had had an intervention knowing that I would drink again. I went to, it was right before I got married. I ended up marrying a broker down at the Merc. And I had an intervention. They said, we won't support, we won't be a part of your wedding unless you go to Hazelden. So I left there and I went to Hazelden and I started swimming again. And I got clean and I got healthy. And your brain, drinking and using fucks up your brain. And you don't just stop and then you're the same person. Like, you have to learn how to do everything over again without a drink and without a drug. You have to learn how to read, how to watch TV, how to have sex, how to get up in the morning, how to make your bed, how to make dinner, how you have to relearn yourself. So I went to Hazelden. I had a little bit of sobriety, but I knew that I wasn't done. And very shortly after was when I hit my rock bottom. And that's the morning that I woke up. And I asked for help. And my rock bottom wasn't what you would think it was. If we went through my drunk-a-log and I told you everything I did, a lot of bad shit happened when I was drinking and using. I overdosed. Not very many people know that. Woke up in the hospital.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Was it booze and cocaine, or was it other stuff?
No, those were the only two I used. Cocaine and booze. And it was, at the Merc, the guy that was the runner was like the biggest cocaine dealer in Chicago. And
I know what you're talking about.
And I'm like, oh my God must want me to do drugs because this is my running partner. And your brain gets pickled. So that clarity, that takes a long time to get back. Recovery is a process. It is a process. People think, oh, you go away and get sober, and it's a family disease. You can't just say, you're the problem. You go get fixed and then come back. And we're not going to deal with anything that we should deal with. It's a family disease because, anyways, I'm getting off on a tangent. So Hazelden, I did not stay sober. Quickly after that was when I hit my rock bottom, and my rock bottom wasn't the overdose. It wasn't the car accident that I got into. It wasn't losing my car how many times. It wasn't embarrassing and humiliating myself, which I did. It was because I told a secret. I crossed a moral line within me. I told a secret that someone I loved shared with me in confidence. And that was it.
Wow.
I caused somebody else pain that had nothing to do with my mess.
And that's the accountability right there.
Yep.
So I just want to ask you a question. This saying comes up a lot. Just give me a true or false. God never gives you anything you can't handle.
True.
I say false.
You say false.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why.
Because some people, they don't make it. You know what I mean? My mother was an addict. First an alcoholic and then an addict. She didn't make it. She overdosed and didn't make it. Can't I argue that life gave her, or God, whatever you want to say, she couldn't handle it all. It's interesting. Like you did get out of it through faith, and my mother didn't. So maybe that saying God never gives you more than you can handle applies to people who have faith, right?
Who have faith.
Yeah.
And
Maybe that's it.
And who choose. Like I had to make a choice, and I had to get fucking honest with myself. And I think that I don't know your mother or anything, but I think that in my experience, that is something that a lot of people don't do, is get honest with themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. All right, so now where are we in the turnaround?
So I asked for help. I got up. I called an outpatient program. I was living on the South Side. I called an outpatient program at Christ Hospital, got drunk, and missed my appointment.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm. And I called the next day, and she said, no, you cannot reschedule. And I said, I'm sorry, what? I'm paying for this. What do you mean I can't reschedule? She said, I don't want you. You're not serious.
Wow.
Total freaking humility. I was like, I am sorry. What do I have to do to get in your program? So there was a series of steps. My husband at the time came in and had to interview for me, which is kind of, and anyway, so then I got in, and I started outpatient program at Christ Hospital. So it was the evenings, and it was supposed to be a 4-week program. I have to reach out to Carol Lindsay because she saved my life as well. And I'd see these people come in, and I'd be like, Carol, Helen is graduating, and she started after me. Carol, yeah, because you're not ready. Dan started 2 weeks after me, and he's been gone for a week. And she's like, you're not ready. And so she kept me in until I was ready. And that's what I did. Got up every day and went to a meeting and started to be able to listen and started to get honest with myself. And that was 19 and a half years ago.
We don't have to go through all the minutia of what I did then and what I did then. I took a job here. But when did you get the calling that giving is the highest form of living? When did you realize, like, I want to use my superpowers to help people?
Getting sober and learning to live my life over again and starting a family. And I passed the bar.
Badass crazy.
6 times. Took me 6 times to pass. The 6th time I was completely sober, and go figure, I passed. And I'm an attorney. My family's in the law, so this is kind of funny though. They had roped off my grandpa. My grandpa reconstructed the entire juvenile court system under Daley, and so he knew the Chief Justice. And when I was at my graduation was at McCormick Place, and they roped off the first 2 rows for my family.
Nice.
Totally. And we're walking, like royalty, we're walking down the aisle. And I turn to my grandma and I say, yeah, I bet no one knows. It took me 6 times to pass.
That's hilarious.
But that's the whole point, right? Get the fuck back up. I don't care how many times you fail. Do it again until you pass or until you achieve the goal. That is it. That's all you have to do in life. Rise up, show up, and take action. And I just kept getting back up. And now I'm an attorney. Boom. Doesn't even matter how many times. So I became an attorney. I started working part-time for my dad. He had his own firm. I was married, and I got pregnant, and I was pregnant with Taylor when I took the bar for the 6th time. I always had done well on the essays. The multiple choice was what messed me up. And I remember I started to stress out at one question and she kicked me. And I thought, it's all going to be okay. It was like, that's another moment of clarity. It was so wonderful. And I passed. So now I know I passed. I wanted to work at the state's attorney or the public defender and then go into private practice. And I had a long discussion with my dad. And he said, if you can do whatever you want, but these are your babies. And if you work, which you totally can, and you'll be awesome, you are going to let somebody else raise your kids. And I had the opportunity to stay home. So I stayed home. So I gave up my career. I stayed home and I just worked very part-time for my dad during the time I was raising the kids. And as I'm putting the foot in front of the other and I'm doing all the right things and building this life with a white picket fence, something wasn't making sense. You know, we get caught in our head. And AA was the first time that I dove into self-development. I didn't know it then. I know it now, but I couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And 8 years ago is when the second time the rug was pulled out from underneath me.
You started your turnaround 19 and a half years ago, right? And then 8 years ago, what happened?
8 years ago, I realized the marriage I was in was toxic, that was the issue. And the life that I was living wasn't working. You know, and we both know you don't fall out of bed one day and decide, oh, I'm just going to get divorced. There was something that happened that I was no longer going to settle. You know, my standards. I was tired of lowering my standards. So I had a life that wasn't working and I broke it, picked up the kids and started completely over. Completely over. Every decision I made was not from here. It was from here. I can remember crying one night, rocking back and forth. And I heard that whisper that said, your children will not be happy until you're happy. And you are not happy. And I thought, well, what about divorce? You're not supposed to. Your children will not be happy until you're happy. And you are not happy. And it was like, this weight was off my shoulders. And I picked them up. They were in first and third grade and moved. So I changed everything. I changed location. I changed our house. I changed our neighborhood. I changed the schools. I changed communities. I changed careers. I changed friends. I changed everything. Totally not, if I would have used my analytical mind, there's no way that I would have ever done that. I can't even believe that I did, but I did. And we started over. And at that point, I knew I only wanted health and wellness in my life. And I sat outside the first house that we had moved in. We were a block and a half away from school, and we were late. I had to drive my kids to school. I'm sure that there's no moms that have ever had that experience. So I get the kids in the car, and no, it is not peaceful and relaxing. Drove around the corner, dropped them off, drove around the corner into my driveway of the first place that we had rented. And it was Thursday, so it was the farmer's market in LaGrange, and it was like this bright, crisp autumn day, and everyone's laughing and talking, and there was energy in the air. You could feel the energy. And I sat in my car and I thought, I missed the memo. I missed the memo. I want to be happy, joyous, and free like these people. Where did I go wrong? I missed the memo. And I got still. And I listened to that voice. And the voice said, you can do whatever you want. You just have to learn. You are good and you are kind and people like you. You just have to learn. And so that day, that moment, I decided I wanted to be the very best version of myself. I'm done. I was 44 years old. I have half my fucking life left. I am done playing it half-ass. I want to be the best version of me for other people, for my kids, for myself, for the people in my life. And so, again, I don't do anything small. I knew where I was and I knew where I wanted to be, and I wanted to collapse the obstacles as quickly as possible. So I hired 4 life coaches.
Wow.
Not one. And it worked really, really well. I was certified by 3 of them. And I started, first of all, in order to do this when I'm sitting in the car, I know in order to be the best version of myself, I got to be strong. And when was I the strongest? When I swam. When did I achieve the most? When I was on a team. And so that very next morning, I started swimming on a team. The best team that I knew was down at UIC. That's where the people that I swam with growing up were swimming now. So every day fuel your body, move your body, change your mindset. I know how to get myself into top physical condition. I already know I can do that. So I knew that. That was the easy part for me. I had a nutritional system that is amazing, and the mindset. And that's where the life coaches came in. Every morning I'd get up, non-negotiable, 4:30. My babies are in bed. I found a Manny that would come over, a swimmer that's that crazy. He'd come over and sleep on the couch while I got up and drove downtown. I'd put my motivational tape in or YouTube and swim, get back, be able to wake them up, get them ready for school and get them off. And when I did that, I mean, that's why you called to me down at the Merc. My body craves that morning hour. It's when you carve time out to prepare yourself before you face the rest of the world. And it totally takes the edge off. It raises your confidence and you're ready. And that's when I started rebuilding my life.
What a great story. But that technique, you're an athlete. When you start your day, like no compromise. You're up, you're out, you're working out. And then while everybody sleeps, you already have an edge on the world.
Yep.
Nobody can stop you there.
No, you already beat everybody that's still pressing snooze.
That's so awesome. I'm getting teary-eyed again. You're killing me here. So tell me a little bit about what you do now, and you help a lot of people. And I just wanted to say what you did during COVID. You were doing these live streams from COVID during COVID when everybody was locked in their house. I mean, mesmerizing. And you do a little thing that I absolutely freaking love. You call people out like as they're signing in. I got Gerard in the house, whatever. And yes. That's a shot of adrenaline to the people you call out. You know what I'm saying?
It's a shot of adrenaline for me. Like I literally feel like we're all together.
I love it. I love it. So I just I was waiting for you today. I was watching your live stream from today, replayed, and I'm like, this girl's got a gift, man. You have a gift.
Well, I will tell you how that started. So I didn't have a lot of money. We moved 5 times in 6 years within LaGrange until we got to the house we're in now, that I bought almost 2 years ago, which is awesome. But in doing that, so we moved around, and like I said, I hired 4 life coaches, or worked with 4. I was certified by 3. And I started to learn. I used to think if people would know my thoughts, they'd know why I do the things I do. I started to learn the concept of, there's 2 things about mindset. Number 1 is to get out of your head. Get out of your head. and drop within. You create a space within and you drop within. And from there, you can listen to the whisper within and you can empower your life. The second part is we have to be in our heads. We have to be in our analytical mind. So how do you start controlling those thoughts? Exactly. That alarm clock goes off at 4:30. This is what we do. Great shit is going to happen today. That's my morning mantra. Get out of bed. Because you have no other, if you let any other thought come in, you're done.
Do you agree with this? Because people have said this to me, and I'm sure they say it to you all the time. Oh, you're so disciplined. And I tell them, this is not even a sacrifice. This is part of my lifestyle now. I've created the wiring to get up early and go work out. It's not even like discipline. That's how I look at it.
That's how you look at it. It starts with your thought. You made a plan. And then your feelings, like I think about how I'm going to feel. There's no comparison if I stay in bed or if I get my ass up and work out. I mean, my day is 150 times better if I get up and move my body. And you create these habits. That's exactly how Vibe High happened. Exactly. So I'm disciplined, creating the habits. I'm wired because I put these disciplines in place. And guess what? Everybody craves discipline. Everybody craves structure. That's how you succeed. It's when we don't have it that it gets crazy. So let's fast forward to COVID. When COVID hit, I didn't own the home that I'm in, but we were in the house I was in now. I'm a single mom. So, what is it? It was 3 years ago, right?
Yeah,
COVID.
like 2020, it's really hit hard. So that's when it came on, 2020.
March 13th, I remember. And I stopped watching TV when 8 years ago, I'm like, no TV. I'm only filling my mind with things that will feed it, that will promote positive mental health. So I hadn't watched TV. And I kind of knew what was going on, but I wasn't watching the news or anything like that. And I was sitting upstairs in my room. Taylor was in 6th grade. Ryan was in 4th. And I got a text that said, it was from my sister, that said her husband talked to his friend that worked at the Pentagon, and Trump's going to close us down tomorrow. We're going to be shut down, quarantined tomorrow. And I had a panic attack. I used to have panic attacks on the floor. I had a panic attack. I hadn't had one in a long time. And I got up. I knew what to do. I got up. I went outside because the cold air, and I stamped my feet, which gets you present in the cold air. And I could breathe because I felt like I couldn't breathe. And I prayed. And my prayers are so freaking simple. Just show me the path, man. Just show me the path and I'll follow. That's it. Just show me the path. And I walked in. I was terrified because I didn't know what quarantine means. And it was like I was claustrophobic. Like, again, with the fear comes in, and there's only 2 fears. Number 1, I'm not enough. And number 2, if I'm not enough, I won't be loved. So was I enough to handle this? I didn't even know what I was handling. I asked for help, and I walked inside and I started setting myself up. I'm sure you do the same thing every night, putting my supplements out for the morning, taking my nighttime supplements, getting the kitchen ready for the morning with my pre-workout, with my shake, with the kids having their lunches ready, having everything ready. And I thought to myself, this is my path. This is what works. This is what makes me feel good. And this is what I'm going to do. I will not change anything. I will set that alarm. I will get up and I will move my body and I will fuel my body. And as I was walking up, I had the whisper come that said, you've done it. Just what you said. This is you. You are this person. I'm not trying to be disciplined. This is my life. And I got a whisper that said, you've created these habits and you know what it feels like to want them and they're not in place. This is your time to hold space for other people so they can create these habits. And I walked upstairs and I was like, okay, maybe I'll sleep in tomorrow and start the next day. I was like, all of a sudden got petrified. And the voice said, oh, no, you won't. No easy button tomorrow. And I got up that next morning and everything I have is on my YouTube channel, Sara Goggin Young. And I went back recently and watched one of the first ones. It's like night and day. I mean, I was literally like, holy fuck, what am I doing? It's weird looking at yourself and it's 6:15 in the morning. I did it every day, 7 days a week for 2 years until the pool started opening. And then I went down to, I went down to 2 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, so I could swim the other days. And now it's Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 6:15.
So can I put a link in when we put the podcast on social media for your Facebook?
Yes.
Vibe and High?
Yes. So it's not like you have to have a link to join. It's just, yeah.
Right. It'll just be to direct them to you.
To my page. And it's every day on Instagram and Facebook. Not every day. Every Tuesday. It's 6:15 Central Time. I'm usually like a minute late because there's always some technical problem.
So I have to ask you this because I think about this too. I would say we both are the best, strongest versions of ourselves if we were to ask ourselves that question. Yes?
Yes.
And it takes continual work. It's not you reach a certain level and you're good. I call it mind yoga. You have to do the mind yoga every day, whatever it's prayer, gratitude, meditations, whatever. We're always working to keep what we have and working to gain, right?
Yes.
It's like martial arts. You want to get better, you have to train. But if you want to keep what you have to train.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think it's possible where we're at now in life that we could get knocked back in the wrong direction? In other words, we're paving our route into the light. Could we ever get bumped back in the direction of the darkness? Because I asked myself that question. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. What do you think?
If I don't do the things that I'm doing today and every day, I will get knocked back. I'm not invincible. I have to do what I do. If I don't, if I stop putting those practices in, I mean, I can feel it. I am not able at this point to do, to work out as much as I would like to. I would really like to work out. I'd love to do like triples every day. It's not possible right now with my workload. So if I'm going to have these expectations of myself, I have to make the time. I have to make the time for cardio. I have to make the time for strength training. I have to make the time to meditate. I have to make the time to pray. And if I go a couple days and I'm not doing my meditation or not putting, it's like a garden, like you maintain it, weeds are going to pop up. If you continue to maintain it, they don't pop up. But if you look away or get distracted, they pop up and you have to take care of them. Does that make sense?
Yes. It's like I said, this is work every day.
Yeah.
We have to do work to keep it.
It's a choice.
And work harder to even, get wiser and live and learn. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, where are you on the happiness scale?
8.5.
Interesting. What would increase that number? Is it a destination you have to get to? Is it why is it a 8.5? Not that that's bad.
Because my career is still building. Because I know where I want to be. And I'm not where I want to be yet financially. Yet. Okay, so hold on a second. And that's a problem too. If I think I'm going to be happy when I achieve the financial, where my financial goal, I mean, that's one of the things I work on all the time. So I have to retract that statement.
I'm so happy you did that.
I have to retract that statement because if you cannot be happy in the process, you're not going to be happy in the future. I would say, to be honest, I still have some work to do, healing. I've done everything on my own for 8 years. I've moved 5 times with my 2 little kids on my own. I have built this life on my own. I have built my career. You know, I thought that I'd go work for my dad, and that didn't happen. And I built my career on my own. So for 8 years, my life has been an open canvas that I've been building, and it's been tunnel vision. This is what I do. Boom, 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 boom. And taking care of the kids. Now, in doing that, you have to be badass. And I had to create Sara Goggin Young, the badass. And I did it with intent every day. But there's a lot of work that goes in there. So I am basically building my life in a matter of 10 years when people had 40 years to build it, right? Their career and everything that goes with it. So I can get too caught up in the drive. I continually have to remember to exhale and be present. And there's things within me that I'm working on with my kids. Being a single mom of 2 teenagers is extremely challenging, man. Extremely. So I know I have more healing to do. And I think that's why I'm at an 8.5.
Okay, so let me give you some frank wisdom.
Thank you.
I have a few years on you. We are on the same path. I told you that before we started. First is, you just said it right 1 minute ago, to be present. So if you really look at the knowns in our life, this is a world according to me. We only have 2 knowns. We have our past and we have this present moment. Mm-hmm. That's all we have. You can have faith, you're going to go to heaven, there's something beyond, but we don't know that. We're hopeful and faithful we have that. So we could take our past and we can twist it into a nightmarish story in which we put a ball and chain on us. We literally shackle ourselves for life. Or we could take that past and we can take the same data set, the exact same information, and go, man, I had some struggles, and holy shit, I made it, you know? So if we reframe our past in an absolute positive way, with still taking accountability by what we did. Yeah, I fucked that up. I fucked this up. But you're like, but all in all, like me, I say to myself, I'm 59 years old. I've lived 2 lifetimes already. It takes all my fear away. It detoxifies my brain. Like, absence of fear means I can embrace the present now. So if you ask me, how is my life? Where are you on your happiness scale? You remember what this number is on the trading floor? 10. Mm-hmm. Mine's a 10 because I'm on the path I want to be on. I stumble all the time. I have healing to do. I'm not where I want to be financially, and on and on and on. But right now, today, I'm killing it. And the reason why I say killing it, I'm not wasting one moment of this thing right here. If I feel a little bit of stress for some reason, I reframe it, right? And I wanted to give you this thing too, because you did all of this stuff. You are a badass. But one of my proverbs in my book is, nobody is self-made, because we all have a lot of help getting where we got to. And if you really think about that, all the interactions you've had with people, your life coaches helped you. You had good friends on the swim team that were, good influences on you. So, nobody's self-made. That's my way of staying grounded. I tell myself that. I do want to think I'm a badass too. But so now I want to shift into this. So you're onto something and I'm onto something. And I feel like it's cheating life, and tell me if you agree with this. Another one of my proverbs is, the highest form of living is giving. And the reason I say that is, as soon as you give of yourself, when you try to help somebody, celebrate them, elevate them, just showing little acts of kindness in your daily walk of life, you get an immediate rate of return that exceeds what you just gave. Do you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Totally. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Exactly what you said. And I didn't, I didn't include that. That's what I did with my life coaches. Through my work with them, I rewrote the context of my past, not the content. Through determining my core values and doing the work that I did with them, I looked back, and my core values are courage, love, and belief. And I looked back at that failure that I thought that I failed and realized how fucking courageous I was and how strong I was. And I had such shame with going from being this elite athlete to drug addict and alcoholic. I had such shame for being in recovery, and not anymore, because I was down on my fucking knees, and I got myself back up with my faith and with the program. So that is so important. You determine how you want to look at your past. And I rewrote that context, and that change, that was life-changing for me. And when I said that I did it by myself, you're totally right. I needed a co-signer. I was captain of my high school team also. But the captain, I was co-captains, Joyce Guida said, I'll co-sign for you when I moved out, and I mean, this is a girl that I was friends with years ago, stepped right up to the plate and helped. More so that being present is so important, and being grateful. And the work I do is not work to me. People ask me all the time, aren't you tired? Are you tired of coaching? I'm like, no, when I coach, like, I'm lit up. I'm about to take women to a women's retreat, Power to Believe women's retreat in November. I cannot wait. Like, that is going to be, I'm totally vibing high. And I'm on a 20 then. I have 2 jobs. So I have another job to make up for something that had happened in my life that financially that should be there and isn't. And that job is not my strengths, and it is a grind, but I'm learning in that job to do things that aren't my strengths. So I'm totally thinking about this 8.5 versus 10.
Well, for me, like, your life is better than an 8.5.
It
but
is.
I don't look at it like I said, I've lived a great life. You've lived a great life.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, what a story. What an honor to have you on and tell your story. And, by sharing the darkness where you were at high, and low, it gives you credibility with everybody, because they can't look at you and go, oh, well, she came from, upper middle class family,
Mm-hmm.
and, she got a scholarship for swimming. No, I don't know how close you were, like, not wanting to live anymore, but, you were pretty close to that probably at some time, right?
Yeah.
And you almost didn't live through your actions, right? So,
Totally, multiple times.
I asked you if you thought you could fall into the darkness again, and you answered that clearly. But I want to ask you, how do you handle stress?
So this is a little work that I'm doing right now on my healing. So I have tools. That I use when I start to get wrapped up in that internal dialogue, or it's like my brain gets like chaos, and I get too caught in the analytical mind. Breath. I have to take a step back and breathe.
A physical breath?
Physical breath, belly breaths, belly. So we're conditioned, especially as women, to breathe up here in our chest. But when we breathe, let our belly go. The magic's on the exhale. It changes. It takes you out of the amygdala. The amygdala is at the stem of your brain that has cortisol. That's your fight or flight. Boom, fight, flight, or freeze. When you're stressed, when you're triggered, when you're challenged, you're right here in reaction mode. To go from the amygdala to the frontal cortex. The frontal cortex is where we can respond, where we can make a goal, create a plan, logically think things through. It takes seven belly breaths to take you from here to here. Sometimes I have to do 14. And get present. Think of gratitude. Listen to a song. Go up and do one of my meditation readings. Shake up the pattern, whatever pattern I'm in that's making me know, I got to get this email done. Da, 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 da. Take a step back, recenter, and then step back into whatever you were doing. But I also had like this drive, this energy. Energy is my jam. It is my jam. And I love it. And I love that you can create it. But I can also get like a drill sergeant. That's what I was alluding to before. Like, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And I can be real hard on myself. Not only can I be hard on myself, I can be hard on the ones I love, my kids, and the people that I work with that are close to me. So I just disclosed this on Vibe High. We were talking about cleaning up your side of the street, being accountable, being responsible. I have a rage within me, and I can snap, and it comes out. And it's been there forever, whether it's a result of the abuse that I suffered in childhood, which I did, emotional, physical, mental, and verbal, whether it's from my marriage, whether it's from being hurt, I don't care. I just don't want it to hurt me or the ones I love anymore. And I work with other people. And this whole, it goes against everything that I'm about, this self-love, pouring love within. And we're not taught that. It's a big buzzword about, oh, self-love this, self-love that. But nobody talks about how to actually implement self-love. And that was another whisper that I got within. It was one morning and I was caught, or one night and I was caught in the, I gotta find something for dinner, cook dinner, make dinner, clean up dinner, get the kids showered, get the lunches ready, get them ready for bed, read them to bed, get their books ready. And it's snowing, so I gotta shovel if I want to swim tomorrow. And I'm thinking about my ex, and he's not doing one damn thing. And that resentment, right? Which is like pissing in your own pants. You're the only one that feels it. Ryan, my son, was in 3rd grade, and he comes up to me and he sees this tsunami that's going on in my head. And he tugs on my pant leg and he says, Mama, do you think you want to go like pray and breathe?
Wow.
He knew my tools. And I said,
That's
yes.
awesome.
I mean, totally out of the mouths of babes, right? I went upstairs and I'm reading the reading in that day, and I was doing my breath. So I'm calming down and I'm getting out of my head. And that day, the reading said, I know every thought you've ever had. I know every action you've ever taken. And I love you. I love you. And I was like, I'm trying so hard to be the best version of myself, to be this woman in recovery, to be a single badass mama, to correct all my character flaws. And God loved me the entire time. And he knows the 10 years that I was a hot mess. And at that moment, I thought to myself, maybe I ought to love that version of myself. Maybe I ought to love the girl that was so lost, because she thought she failed. And maybe I ought to wrap my arms around her and pour some love on her because all she wanted to do was stop the pain. And that damn voice said, get up and look in the mirror. And I got up and I'm looking in the vanity. And the voice said, put your hand on your heart and tell yourself that you love yourself. And Frank, I couldn't do it. I was totally crying and it was so hard. And I was saying, I love you, Sara. I love you. I just said again and again and again. And all of a sudden I said, I love you. And everything's going to be okay. And it was like butter. It felt so warm and comforting. And it was a feeling that this is so right. This is so right that it can't be wrong. There is no room for doubt. And I got up and I went outside and I took the kids and we got on our snow pants and made snow angels across the street and ended up having a great night. And that is my mission, is when we practice self-love, and I mean it, we're conditioned not to, we're conditioned to pour it into everybody else. I've never been told to say that to myself. We're not conditioned to tell yourself, to talk to yourself. But it's necessary to have these confirmations because we look to everybody else to give us what we need, and we have the ability to give it to ourselves. And so that is how this rage, instead of trying to snuff it out, instead of thinking that I got to close the door on that part of myself, it's fucking energy, man. That's what I get out of rage. It is energy, it's adrenaline, and it's let's go. It's just showing up in a way that isn't serving me. So how can I change it? How can I let it know it's okay? I would be lost without my energy. And I'm going to tell you, and this has been recent in the past 2 weeks, I work with a woman that runs a guided meditation for high performers. And she's the one that brought this out. Do you really want to get rid of it? Or can you learn to live with it? And I can learn to live with it if I can pour love on it and say, hey, you're okay. And this goes back to maybe being so hard on myself, having those expectations, but hey, being present. You got it. You're doing it. I love you.
I want to tell you about the journey with, we all have a Sith Lord inside of us. Do you follow Star Wars at all?
You're going to have to refresh my memory.
Okay, so in Star Wars, you have the Master Jedi. They are the highest, most powerful on the good force.
Yoda
is like a Master Jedi.
Okay.
And the Sith Lords are the darkness. And the Sith
Darth
Lords,
Vader?
Yes. And the Sith Lords are actually more powerful than the Jedi. They can do certain things with energy. They can shoot this electric stuff out of their hands, and the Jedi can't do that. They have more mastery over the Force. The Jedi can deflect it, but they can't do it. We all have a Sith Lord inside of us. And I don't read a lot of books, but there's an author named Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. He says that we all have this demon that can rage in us. We all have it. And he is there or she is there all the time. And you're better to acknowledge that demon. Hey, I know you're in there. You cannot eradicate it. And that's kind of what we're talking about. And I agree with that because I have a dark Sith Lord in me. And and sometimes he talks to me. And it's like, I'll shoot the motherfucker and go to jail with a smile on my face. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
I look at scenarios in life and like, yeah, I don't give a rip if I go to jail. I'm doing what I got. That's the Sith Lord in me. And, the plots that I've come up with for people that are just really bad people. Like, I could just get rid of him. Plus, I'm Italian. We know how to bury bodies and stuff. Like, I go through this stuff. But I don't want to lose that guy because that guy could save my life. We need to tap into that and that whatever you want to call it, that evil force in you, you've tapped into that to get you where you've gone. That rage.
It's protected me.
But it's also in athletics too.
Yeah.
You're sprinkling a little bit of rage when you're swimming and that person you're racing is like they're pulling ahead a little bit. Like you're like, all right, let me give a little dose of rage here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
so
yes,
I think it's good to acknowledge that we have that in us. And the internal mastery, which we seek out, is how we keep that animal in the cage. And we know when to bring that animal out, but we don't want to get rid of them, you know?
Yes. So, and that's the first time that I was able to see that. Does that make sense? To see that and feel it. I'm a kinesthetic learner. We learn 3 ways: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. I am kinesthetic all the way. If I can feel it, and I could feel it, to be able to, I was like, no, I don't want to lose my energy. I can't. That's me.
This part of the machine.
Yeah.
That's very cool. This is kind of a obscure question. Is life fair?
No.
It's not fair?
Mm-mm.
Why do you say that?
Because it's not fair and it's not easy, but it's so damn worth it.
I love that. So my contention is life is tough for everybody. Everybody is in a struggle. It's like a big invisible hand pushing down on us all the time. It's a constant, like gravity is a constant, and nobody escapes it. It doesn't matter if you're born into ultra wealthy people have a whole other set of problems, because that's what people, most people go, oh, well, he was born wealthy. Yeah, but then he was given everything. He doesn't have any grit. He doesn't have coping skills, whatever. We're all in a struggle. Every single one of us. It doesn't matter our age, our level of wealth, where we live in the world. Life is exacting that force on everybody. So for that reason, I say life is fair, because nobody's getting by without struggles. So that's how I look at it. And now I'll go into the next thing. We obviously, or maybe I'm making an assumption, you do believe in karma, yes? Mm-hmm. So if you had to define, like, what does karma mean to you? Because it means something different to everybody.
Karma is that feeling when you give, when you smile at someone and you see how it shakes them up and it makes their day. When you give someone a compliment and they are, oh my, thank you. And you see the light go off in them. Karma is vibing high.
So I believe karma is you get in, you get out what you put in. So if you live your life like an asshole, you get asshole results. Mm-hmm. I think it's a natural law of balance. So if you throw out bad energy, you attract bad energy.
So that, like the law of attraction. I
believe that karma within your lifetime, it reconciles itself. The book gets settled, right? So if you live a really bad life, to me, one of the worst things that can happen to you if you live a bad life is you die alone. And by dying alone, not necessarily meaning nobody's by your bedside, but nobody gives a shit when you're dead. Like that's the life you live. You've left nothing behind at all. And if you live an exemplary life, or you try to live an exemplary life, which is why I say the highest form of living is giving, you leave such a strong positive energy that gets carried forward long after you're gone, right? Because of the lives you touched. I'm a big fan of thanking veterans, and I do it all the time. And if I see a license plate on a car parked in the lot, I'll write a note and I put it on the windshield. You just don't even know what kind of impact that has, and even the little kindness, like you said, smile. So, yes, I feel like life is fair, and I do believe in karma. You get out what you put in, and you're putting in a lot, my friend. And I want to finish off with this last question. When you leave this earth, how do you want to be remembered?
That if you have the power to believe, you can achieve. And that anybody can do anything they want if they put their mind to it and they do the work. Anything.
What a mission. Awesome. My dear friend, I got to tell you, I'm not a big crier. I think it's a weakness to cry for a man, which is my own hang up. And there's two kinds of warriors. There's the warrior who can run down the battlefield and exact carnage on the enemy. And then there's the warrior commander. And the warrior commander is different because the warrior commander can do all of that, but she has the coolest head and grace under fire. And that's why she's the commander. She sees the battlefield clear. She has complete control over her fears. She has courage in her heart, and she leads the charge. And you, my friend, are a warrior commander. So
thank you.
I had a great time.
This was wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Warrior Podcast. I got teary-eyed again there. Sara Goggin Young, we're going to put links to all of her stuff. Thank you for joining us, everybody, for the Warrior Podcast. And remember, there is a warrior in everybody. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.